Look, I need to tell you something. YouTube is completely different than it was 6 months ago. We're entering a brand new era of YouTube and most business owners have no idea what's going on. They're still posting the same way, using the same strategies, and then wondering why their videos get 10% of the reach that they used to. But you don't have to be one of those people. You can watch this video, make changes accordingly, and be one of the people that get ahead of this shift. So if you're wondering who I am and why you should listen to me, my name is Daniel Robbins. I run YouTube for clients, and over the last 3 years, we've been helping tons of business owners scale up on YouTube, generate multi-six figures for our clients, and essentially optimize their YouTube content systems. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the biggest shifts that are happening right now on YouTube, and more importantly, how they affect you if you're a business owner trying to grow your company on YouTube. So let's jump in. So shift number one, shorts are eating up the homepage. So here's what's happening, right? Views from shorts in search and homepage have roughly doubled since 2024. So the YouTube homepage used to show 10 long form videos, which was essentially just 2 rows of 5. Now shows only 2 to 3 long form videos and the rest is shorts. So also mobile feed now leads with massive blocks of shorts, and search results have heavily shifted towards showing shorts over long form. So what does this mean? Competition for long form visibility has intensified dramatically. You're now competing for one of 2 to 3 homepage slots instead of 1 to 10. And there's more people creating these channels, and middle tier channels are getting squeezed out of distribution because YouTube is winner takes all. So if there's only one spot, the guy who's really at the top is going to take that spot, right? So on the long form side, you need to significantly increase your content quality to actually make the cut. It's no longer the days when you can put out mediocre content and hope you make it. You really have to be providing value, right? So shift 2 here is the recency bias. So the recency bias is real, right? So what's happening is older content is getting significantly less promoted than before. And data from top channels shows steep decline in views from older shorts, particularly around September. So the set it and forget it content strategy no longer works. So, with evergreen YouTube content, especially on the, as I said, on the long form side, if you want evergreen videos, you need to be SEO optimizing them, and you need to really have good metrics on these videos for YouTube to push them. If not, if you haven't optimized these elements, the strategy that everyone told you about or sold you on the fact that you can just put out garbage YouTube videos and they're going to be evergreen and continue to bring in leads for months and years to come, that doesn't work anymore. It's no longer that easy. So you really have to make sure that your content quality is up to standard and that you are making sure the script is good, because if the video actually has good retention, good signals to YouTube, if it has high viewer satisfaction, which is essentially a combination of, are people liking the video? Are they watching through, aka retention? Are they commenting on the video? These are all signals to YouTube that will then tell it to go promote it to more people. So that plus, proper SEO optimization, that's what's going to help you actually have this evergreen content that people sold you on. But it's not as easy as before, and that's what we're seeing. And then YouTube now heavily favors newer content in distribution. So this leads into the next part of what I'm saying here, is that you can't put out one video a month really and expect to get results. You need to be posting at least like once a week, because that's going to mean that YouTube is going to be pushing your newer videos to new audiences, right? So that's really what needs to be happening in terms of your strategy. So as I said before, you can't rely on a handful of evergreen videos to carry your channel. You need consistent publishing schedule to stay visible. Irregular posting will kill your growth. Constant momentum is needed more than ever. So this means you need to double down on actually being consistent. What we're doing right now is, 1 video a week. And then, if you have like case studies, client interviews, extra stuff you want to put out to get that to like 2 a week, then you can do that too, just to make sure you're really putting out that volume, right? But 1 a week is the minimum. If you're not doing this, you're going to be left behind and left in the dust by the guys who are staying consistent. So by the way, if you do want some help, growing your own YouTube channel, if you're a business owner, there'll be a link in the description. You can click that and learn a bit more about how our done for you YouTube content systems work, right? So the next shift here is content shelf life has increased. So what's happening is that roughly 50% of content in feeds now from days or weeks ago. So YouTube extended shelf life for content that performs well, and the algorithm is showing content alongside new uploads. So as I said before, this only works if your content is actually good. If you have high like to dislike ratio on your videos, if people are commenting, if people are watching through, high retention, these are what signal to YouTube that the video is good. And that means that you're going to be able to take advantage of this higher shelf life, on YouTube, right? If you're not really creating good content, you're not putting in the effort, and you're kind of just half-assing it, you're not going to be able to take advantage of of this, and that goes back to what I said before, which is your videos are going to die. So if you can really do this right, YouTube is going to show all the videos, meaning evergreen videos. So there really is still room for optimizing and taking advantage of this, right? So what this means for you is you need to be balancing trending content with evergreen problem solving content. We put out a video for a client, I think about 3.5 to 4 months ago. It's still booking in calls to this day. It's still closing deals. And we're able to see that obviously through our tracking. So I'm not just guessing here. And the reason for that is because we have high viewer retention on the video. We have SEO optimized it so it shows up in the search results. And this means YouTube is seeing these metrics, seeing people engaging, commenting on the video, saying how valuable it is, and then for pushing it also to more people. So you need to have a balance of that type of video plus videos that are taking advantage of trends. If you watch my previous video, I spoke about videos that take advantage of what's going on in your niche right now, whether it's a new AI, whether it's someone's advice, maybe Trump said something, if you're in like that type of industry, right? Taking advantage of these two types of content to really balance them and then create that YouTube funnel, right? So you need to focus on core problems your audience faces that don't change week to week. This is obviously for the evergreen YouTube videos. Time sensitive content will feel dated when resurfaced days later. This doesn't mean don't create those videos as I just said, but you need to use them strategically along with the evergreen YouTube videos. So evergreen strategy plus consistent publishing equals compounding growth. And this is how you build a long-term asset with your YouTube channel where you actually have good videos compounding, still being recommended. And then, you start booking in calls from a video that you made 9 months ago, onto your calendar now. And we see that with our clients, right? So shift 4 here is personality is your moat. So what's happening, right? AI generated slop content is flooding the platform. AI generated scripts, AI generated actual people talking. And the majority of content is just really bad, right? Because it's so easy to create okay content with ChatGPT or Claude where, it just writes some crap and you put a teleprompter up and you say it, right? Most AI content is generic, shallow, doesn't hold up under any scrutiny, right? So viewers can also spot that within seconds. If your script is really bad and there's no real value in it, people are gonna see through that and that's gonna hurt you, right? So in your content, really focus on providing value. And this is why we only do a word for word hook and then we have a bullet point body so they can insert their own personality in that. Because otherwise, we're just giving them stuff that maybe doesn't represent exactly what they say. Maybe it's not, aligned 100% with their personality because it's obviously not easy to do that. So you really need to make sure that in 2026, instead of being generic, you're really dialing in on what you want your audience to know about you and how you want to present your content, right? So that's the next thing here. Then the next shift here is using how instead of how to. This really plays a role in your titles, right? So instead of just creating a video, like for me example, like how to generate leads from YouTube, you can say how I achieved end result. So, if I actually pull up my channel right now, I just did this on a video, which was essentially a case study, right? And we said how I made 27K. Instead of saying how to make 27K from a YouTube video, we're building authority because we're using the fact that I actually did it, right? And this is how you should attempt to go about your videos. So another one that we did for a client, and this was like a while back, so we've been utilizing this strategy for a while. So what we did here, if you can see this video over here, the title is how I scaled B2B SaaS startups to 50 to 500K MRR. Instead of saying how to scale B2B SaaS startups to 500K. That doesn't prove that you've actually done it. It doesn't prove that you know how to do it. So really utilizing this in terms of building authority, that's something you really want to do because AI cannot create a case study, only you can. So another thing here I've got written is share unique stories. So this leads into the same part, share stories only you can tell, whether it's real client results, behind the scenes, industry specific insight from being in the trenches, or mistakes you made and how you recovered. You should look at your videos as if you're just documenting, right? Like here's what's going on within my business. Here's, the mistakes we're making. Here's what we're seeing. Here's how you can learn from it. Because that's going to help you actually be relatable to the people you're watching. And it's going to feel more like they're watching someone who's in the trenches versus someone who's actually just trying to sell them, right? So that's another thing you can really do there. And as I said, be conversational, be personal, use conversational tones. You don't want to sound too corporate-y. That's really what you want to do in terms of how you come across. Shift 5, and this is a big one for any of the guys out there who really still think YouTube monetization is the way, right? So you simply can't rely on YouTube monetization at all. So what's happening is short form creator economics are brutal. So, there's low ad revenue, poor conversions, low sponsor rates, but YouTube is still pushing shorts. So it's kind of not correlating there, right? And, 18 to 90% of short form creators are starving artists. They're not really making any money. So long form competition is also intensifying while monetization decreases. So, all business owners are figuring out, okay, we have to be on YouTube to build a long-term brand. It's no longer that blue ocean that it used to be. So, this means you just have to, adapt your strategy, right? The mindset shift here is stop viewing YouTube as a monetization play and start viewing it as your number one lead generation channel. So, we see this with some of our clients. They run ads plus YouTube. YouTube sometimes generates more than their ads, and they're spending a lot more on ads because of simply how powerful YouTube can be, right? I'm not saying it's always like that. You should be doing both. You should be running ads plus YouTube at the same time. That's ideally if you have the budget to spend, obviously, but you need to start viewing it as a lead generation channel. So you need to focus on your high ticket offers and book calls, not ad revenue. And obviously, not views, right? When we track for our clients, we're not really tracking for views. Obviously, we want to grow the channel, increase their subscribers, increase the amount of traction and essentially traffic, which is what views actually are. But the number one metric we're looking at is high ticket sales, right? We connect them to our tracking software where we can see if they're closing from the YouTube videos. And that's what, we're monitoring on a daily basis. We're not going into the YouTube dashboard and seeing if their short form views went up. That's not the priority. So, YouTube as an outbound sales machine that works 24/7 while you sleep. Once again, this is how you should be viewing YouTube in 2026. It is something that you have to be utilizing, but only in this way, right? So what this requires, firstly here is significantly higher quality content than before. You can no longer put out slop. You have to actually, spend some time researching, ideating, coming up with your packaging. So that means better ideas, thumbnails, hooks, scripts, etc. And you have to have a systematic approach to qualifying prospects through your content and actually converting them, taking them from a viewer and getting them into a client. And then what this requires, part two, is strategic CTAs that drive book calls, not just views. As I said, what we like to do with our clients, and this is something that's working quite well at the moment, is you have two CTAs. You have the intermission CTA, like you would have seen in my video, and then we have the end CTA, which is once again directing to book a call. And this works nicely because a lot of people drop off the video around the 30% mark, a lot, earlier than that. So you really want to make sure you have that call to action before people actually drop off, right? You have to have a content funnel that moves viewers from awareness to consideration to booking. So this is why you need to understand different market level awarenesses, in your audience, right? So there's different levels, and within those levels, you need to be creating content for each different type. So there'll be people who have no idea what you're trying to sell, and I've never heard of it. So now you need to create videos that just educate them about what the actual offer is, what the service is. Then you have people who are considering like, yo, okay, I know about this. Should I go with this guy or this guy? And those are people on the consideration stage. And then you're creating content, kind of building authority as to why you're the best person to go with. So understanding these market level awarenesses will help you create content that addresses different buying personas rather than, just the one guy who is already, ready to buy, or the people who don't really know about you. So you have to understand this. And as I said, you can't post mediocre content anymore. So recap, these are the 5 main shifts that we're seeing, right? Shorts eating away the homepage, recency bias is real, content shelf life has increased if you obviously creating the right videos, personality is your moat, and obviously you cannot rely on monetization, right? Please guys. So the key takeaway, in my opinion, is that quality over quantity is more important than ever. So this is why we say for our clients, 4 videos a month, if we're making these as the main 4 videos, they really have to be good. And you really have to make sure that you are investing your time or your money into paying for a system that's actually going to work for you, right? Otherwise, a lot of the time you are wasting your time because YouTube is the winner takes all. Now, if you implement even one of these things, you're going to be ahead of probably 90% of business owners on YouTube, right? Because most people haven't caught up. But knowing obviously these shifts and these changes is not enough. You need to know how to actually implement them, and you need to know the complete YouTube funnel system that actually generates qualified booked appointments for you if you're a coach or consultant, right? So, if you click the video up here, you can watch my full course where I break down our entire system that's generated multi-6 figures for our clients on YouTube. So you can check that out for 100% free, right? If you check out some of the other case studies on my channel, it's the same system we applied for them. So, it definitely works. So if you want us to actually, help you scale up your channel and actually book more qualified calls at an extra 10 to 50K a month from YouTube, you can click the first link in the description, to learn about how our done for you system works. But that's only for established business owners. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you got some value from this, and cheers.